Well, hello there! Today I'm continuing my alphabetical order series with the letter Y, and I'm going to be drawing Yzma, and I cannot wait to show you this. Okay, let's just get into it. I absolutely love how every single speed paint always starts with the same thing, and that is the blank canvas. I just love watching a blank canvas, and then you add lines and you add more circles and different shapes, and then you end up with this illustration that, you know, resembles something. And I that whole concept just blows my mind. Like, especially when it comes to more cartoony styles. Like, you're drawing the most simple shapes and you're drawing lines basically, and the human eye can look at that and see an illustration. Just the whole thing about that, it just makes me so happy. I love it. Yeah, especially if it's not like a fully like rendered illustration. You're just sketching something and you're able to determine what that looks like, even though it's just lines. And like, you don't see a lot of lines in real life. Like when you look at someone's face, it's very smooth, but when you sketch it out, like, it still looks like a face. It's just like, maybe not everybody thinks that's awesome, but I think that's awesome. And it's just like one of the main reasons I just love drawing so much. I think it's like the reason I like to draw is watching that blank page become something. And I used to actually take my sketchbooks. When I'd get a new sketchbook, I would like open it up to a random page and like draw a little dot on there and just look at that page and I wonder what I'm gonna draw on this page. Right now it's just a completely blank piece of paper with, well, except for the little dot that I put on it, but one day it will become something, you know? And then when I get to that page, because I like to draw in my sketchbooks from beginning to end. That's just how I like to do it. And when I get to that page, I usually make the dot somewhere where I don't really notice it. And when I'm sketching, I'm usually just like, oh, I need to sketch something. So I just open up my sketchbook. And I'll usually find the dot after I've already filled the page, which is awesome. And I just like, and then I look at it and I'm like, I looked at this page when it was blank, you know, weeks ago, and now it has an illustration on it. I don't know, it just makes me happy, makes me excited. It's something I like to talk about. If we talk about what I'm actually doing on screen, I am working on my second sketch layer. I am a huge supporter of second sketch layers if you're doing digital art, because it just gives you that second chance to to define every single element and make sure it's exactly what you want it to look like before you go with the line art, because line art can be very, very tricky. You lose a lot of tone when it comes to line art, and sometimes you can lose a lot of fluidity. So I think that second sketch layer really helps me just define all of the elements and make sure I know exactly what like swooping shape I want everything to be. That way when I go in with the line art, I've basically made all the decisions that need to be made, and I can fix it there. I mean, not fix it, just repeat it there, but with a line art, and I can worry more about the tone of the line art and making the width of the line art vary depending on the different locations. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, a lot of the reasons so if you like sketch something and then you put the line art on top, sometimes when you turn off that sketch layer and all you're left with is the line art, it's the biggest letdown of your life. And you know exactly what I'm talking about if you've done this. I've done it many times, and it's usually because there isn't enough variation in the line weight. That's what I've been trying to say this whole time. So I like the second sketch layer because I can focus more on my line weight when I'm doing the line art, because I already know exactly where I want to put something. And if you don't know exactly where you want to put that line, sometimes when you, again, turn off the sketch layer and you're just left with the line art and it's standing on its own, it can just not exactly what you wanted it to look like. So yeah, here I am going into the line art, really working on those wrinkles and trying to make this look like Yzma, even though it's in my own style, because a lot of the times when I draw a cartoon character, it can be very, very difficult to make it resemble that cartoon character because I'm drawing it in my style, and cartoon has its own style, you know? So like the Disney style from The Emperor's New Groove, which is different than many of the styles Disney uses in other movies. So like I love that they have certain defining styles when it comes to different movies. And I'm not going to be using any of those styles. I'm drawing it in my style, so we're drawing it completely different. And it's, you know, I don't know what I'm saying. My brain is so foggy right now. Oh. I feel like I'm talking faster than I can think. So Yeah, that's what's happening right here. Okay, let's just the liner, adding her giant earrings. Oh, this collar bit that's supposed to be fluffy, but I drew it really sharp at the get-go. I changed that. I fixed it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I did want to mention that in the pose, I made a decision because Yzma's a very skinny character, and I feel like that is a very what's it called, like a very important part of her character design. And so I really wanted to push that as much as I could. So I actually chose a pose. Oh, here I am fixing that collar, thank goodness. And I actually chose a pose where I put one of her knees in front of the other. So whenever we show the full body, when we get to that part, you'll see that the knees are kind of in front of each other. That allowed me to make her have an even more pointed edge to her. So like she has those hips that like just shoot out, and then that just goes straight, almost straight down to a point where the knees would be, and then it comes out a little bit more for her legs, and then her dress that has that like you know, it's pretty big at the bottom and it lays on the ground. It's called a train, I think. I don't know if it's called a train when it's this short, so. But yeah, here we are looking at the little feet. Here I am drawing her feet. I wasn't entirely sure what I was doing there because I'd never drawn wrinkly feet before, and I was kind of trying to do that, but kind of didn't know what I was doing and kind of just trying to draw them fast because I didn't really feel like drawing feet right now. I don't know why I'm going through a phase. This hand turned out absolutely poopy, and we won't talk about. Oh, this knife. Okay, so if I was going to change any one thing about this illustration, if I went back, it would be this knife, because I feel like, and you'll see this when I color it, I colored just kind of like a basic knife, and in the end it kind of looked like it was from the movie Hercules. And I don't know if you know this, but Yzma is not in the movie Hercules. And I wish I could have made it look more like a knife that you would see in The Emperor's New Groove, which I think a way I could have fixed it was just making it like a solid gold knife and then adding like a big red and a big blue gem to it. I feel like that would have really helped. Yeah. Too late now. Here I am just adding in that base color. I like to do this because it's a lot easier than adding in all of the colors separately. So if you know anything about digital art, if you know what a clipping mask is, these have been my best friends lately. I think I've been doing this for quite a while. What I'll do is I'll finish the line art. I'll make sure that it's all closed on the outside. So like the entire outside of the illustration has lines that are connected to each other. That way I can use the selection tool, and I can, I think it's the magic selection tool, and I just click outside of my illustration and it selects everything on the outside of my line art and nothing on the inside. That way I can inverse the selection and fill it with this color, and you make sure you fill it on a separate layer to your line art layer and put that underneath of the line art layer. And then you can fill it in, and then that is what that pink color is, and that is how I do that so quickly. I used to go in and actually just use the paintbrush and color in every single element on its own, and it's just a lot more time consuming, and I feel like I've shaved a lot of time off my drawing process by doing this, so I will recommend that. 10 out of 10. Use your clipping masks. Oh, but I didn't even explain what a clipping mask was. So you can create a layer above the purple layer that I had created, so that was her. The color that I just used the paint bucket tool on. I probably should make a tutorial on this because it's probably getting a little confusing. But you create a layer above that purple layer, and then you right click on the layer and you just say create clipping mask, and it clips down to the layer below it. So now the layer with the purple has now clipped to the layer above it, and if you draw on the layer above it, and it'll be a little arrow, you'll be able to tell that something happened. If you draw on that, it will only draw over the purple layer, even though you're not on the purple layer, on your own layer. It's pretty cool, and I like to do that for every single color. So every color, oh, there's where I colored the knife, really boring. So every color of Yzma, like the black dress, her pale skin, the purple, is on a separate layer. That way you can adjust it later, because sometimes when you're drawing something that's not fan art, you want to adjust the colors later. You want to like maybe pick a different color, and it just makes it very easy and simple. And yeah, I totally recommend that. Here I'm just adding some simple shading because she looked a little too flat and it was a little boring. But yeah, those eyelashes. Oh, I wanted to ask. So I explained why I love art, and I wanted to know, why do you draw? What is it about art that makes you happy and excited to draw again once you've finished an illustration? Anyway, this is the finished drawing of Yzma. I want to thank you guys for watching, and next up is the letter Z, and I will have officially finished the alphabetical order series. I'm so excited. I never thought I really didn't know if I'd make it, and I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna do it. Okay. Okay, yeah. I'll see you guys later, and I hope you all have a delicious evening full of waffles. Bye.